You know what you need to do. The task is right there in front of you. You have the time, you have the knowledge, and yet you just can't start. And the worst part? The longer it drags on, the tighter that feeling in your chest becomes. The guilt kicks in, your mind starts to spiral, and to escape that discomfort, you pick up your phone, put on a video, do anything except what actually needs to get done. This is not a lack of willpower. This is not laziness, and it is definitely not a character flaw. This is called anxious procrastination, and it is one of the most silent and most devastating cycles affecting smart, driven people every single day. Today, in this video, I'm going to show you exactly what anxious procrastination is, why your brain falls into this pattern automatically, and, most importantly, how to break this cycle once and for all. If you've ever felt stuck in this loop, stay until the end. What you're about to learn could change the way you work, study, and relate to your own goals. Before any technique, we need to understand what we're actually dealing with. Because most people treat procrastination as a discipline problem, and that's exactly why the solutions never really work. Anxious procrastination is the postponement of tasks driven by emotional discomfort, especially anxiety. Unlike ordinary laziness, where someone simply doesn't want to do something, in anxious procrastination, the person wants to do it, feels like they should do it, but their nervous system goes into avoidance mode. Researcher Dr. Fuskia Sirois from the University of Sheffield defines procrastination as, at its core, an emotion regulation problem, not a time management problem. In other words, you don't procrastinate because you don't know how to organize your schedule. You procrastinate because your mind is trying to protect you from emotional discomfort. The difference is crucial. Laziness is, I don't want to do this. Anxious procrastination is, I really want to, but something is stopping me. If you recognize yourself in the second case, this video was made for you. And who is most affected by this pattern? Studies show that high achievers, perfectionists, and people who tie their self-worth to their results are the most vulnerable. Why? Because the more important a task feels, the greater the perceived emotional risk and the greater the fear of failing. See the paradox? The more you care about a task, the harder it becomes to start. It's not a lack of commitment, it's too much of it, misdirected by anxiety. Now, let's look at what's actually happening inside your brain when you procrastinate. And I need you to pay close attention here, because this knowledge is liberating. When you understand the mechanism, you stop blaming yourself and start acting in a much smarter way. Your brain has two main characters in this story. The first is the amygdala, the emotional processing center. It detects threats and triggers the fight or flight response. And here's the critical point. For the amygdala, failing an important presentation sets off the same alarm as a predator in the wild. It does not distinguish between a physical threat and a social or emotional one. The second character is the prefrontal cortex, the rational part of your brain. It plans, reasons, and makes long-term decisions, but it consumes far more energy than the amygdala. And when the amygdala fires, the prefrontal cortex is essentially switched off to conserve resources. The result? Your rational mind knows you need to do the task, but your emotional mind perceives the task as a threat. And in the battle between emotion and reason, emotion almost always wins in the short term. And here is the full cycle. You face an important task. The amygdala triggers the emotional alarm. You feel anxiety. To escape the discomfort, you avoid the task and feel immediate, real relief. But then comes the guilt. And the guilt creates more anxiety, and the task, now pushed back, feels even bigger and more threatening. And the cycle starts all over again. The relief you feel when you avoid the task is real. Your brain releases dopamine when you do something pleasurable instead of the difficult task. This creates a powerful reinforcement. The avoidance behavior gets rewarded. And every time you delayed something and felt relief, your brain learned, escaping works. It's trying to help you, just in completely the wrong way. Neuroimaging research shows that when we procrastinate, the same brain regions active in addictive behaviors light up. Immediate pleasure overrides future benefit. This is why simply having more willpower rarely works. You are fighting a neurological mechanism, not a character weakness. To break the cycle, you first need to identify what triggers it. There are 4 main triggers of anxious procrastination, and chances are you'll recognize yourself in at least 2 of them. Trigger number 1, perfectionism. If I can't do it perfectly, I'd rather not do it at all. The perfectionist isn't afraid of hard work. They're afraid of delivering something imperfect and being judged for it. The task never gets started because, in the perfectionist's mind, it will never be ready enough to begin. Trigger number 2, fear of failure. What if I try and it doesn't work out? The task represents a real risk to self-esteem. Not doing it feels safer than trying and failing. The problem is that by not trying, failure is already guaranteed, but the brain, in protection mode, doesn't process that. Trigger number 3, cognitive overload. When a task feels too large or too complex, the brain enters a state of paralysis. Not knowing where to begin is just as paralyzing as emotional anxiety. The mind simply freezes in the face of the scale of the challenge. Trigger number 4, low frustration tolerance. The immediate difficulty of the task creates a discomfort the person doesn't want to sit with. With a phone one tap away offering instant pleasure, avoidance becomes the automatic choice, not through conscious decision, but through neurological habit. Now a question for you. Think of a task you've been putting off this week. Which of these 4 triggers is most active for you? Write it in the comments. That simple act of naming it is already the first step toward breaking the cycle. Enough understanding the problem. It's time to act. Here are 7 proven techniques to break the cycle of anxious procrastination. You don't need to apply all of them at once. Pick 2 or 3 that resonate with you and start today. Technique number 1, the 2-minute rule, popularized by James Clear in the book Atomic Habits. If a task can be done in less than 2 minutes, do it now. If it can't, commit to working on it for just 2 minutes. The entry barrier is minimal, and once you start, the momentum effect kicks in. Getting started is always the hardest part. Technique number 2, radical decomposition. Take the task you've been avoiding and break it down into pieces so small that it feels ridiculous not to do them. Instead of write the report, break it into open the document, write the title, write one single sentence of context. The goal is to eliminate the cognitive overload that paralyzes the prefrontal cortex. Technique number 3, the adapted Pomodoro method. Work for 25 minutes with full focus, then take a 5-minute break. Repeat. For people with high anxiety, adapt it. Start with just 10-minute blocks. The goal isn't immediate productivity. It's training your brain to tolerate discomfort in controlled doses, gradually building up your tolerance. Technique number 4, name the emotion. Neuroimaging research shows that naming an emotion reduces its intensity in the brain regions associated with stress, what neuroscientists call affect labeling. Before starting the task, say out loud or write, "I'm feeling anxious about this because I'm afraid I won't do it well enough." That simple act activates the prefrontal cortex and reduces the amygdala's response. Technique number 5, public commitment. Tell someone that you're going to do X by Y time. Positive social pressure activates accountability circuits that override avoidance. It could be a friend, a study group, or even a comment in an online community. Accountability changes everything because now failure has a witness, and that activates parts of the brain that isolation simply doesn't reach. Technique number 6, a distraction-free environment. Remove the reinforcers of procrastination from your immediate surroundings. Phone in another room, notifications off, website blocker active. Willpower is finite. Don't waste it resisting temptation when you can simply remove it from the equation. Change your environment before you try to change your behavior. Technique number 7, and perhaps the most powerful of all, active self-compassion. Researcher Dr. Kristin Neff from the University of Texas demonstrated that people who practice self-compassion procrastinate less than self-critical perfectionists. Why? Because when you punish yourself for procrastinating, you increase anxiety, which creates more procrastination. Self-compassion breaks that loop. Treat yourself the way you would treat a good friend who's feeling stuck, with patience, understanding, and support. Isolated techniques help, but what truly transforms things is having a system. Here is a simple protocol you can start implementing tomorrow. Morning ritual, 15 minutes. First, identify the 3 most important tasks of the day, no more than 3. Second, for each one, identify the procrastination trigger most likely to show up. Third, define a sacred block, 60 to 90 minutes of uninterrupted time dedicated to your main task of the day. During the day, use Pomodoro blocks for the difficult tasks. When you feel resistance rising, name the emotion before acting on it and celebrate every small win, because small wins build the momentum that carries you through the entire day. Evening ritual, 10 minutes. Review what you accomplished without judgment. Identify what held you back today and adjust for tomorrow. And write 1 sentence of self-compassion about your day. It doesn't matter whether it was a perfect day or a hard one. What matters is that you are building the system. This system doesn't require perfection, it requires consistency. Even on the hard days, maintaining the ritual signals to your brain that you are in control. And that alone reduces the anxiety that fuels procrastination. A challenge for you. Implement this system for 7 consecutive days. It doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be done. After a week, come back here and share your experience in the comments. We read every single one. I'll leave you with 1 thought I want you to carry with you from here on. Anxious procrastination is not a sign that you are weak or incapable. It is a sign that your brain is trying to protect you, just in the wrong way. And now you have the map. You understand the cycle, you know the triggers, and you have the tools. The next step is yours. Not the perfect step, not the big step that fixes everything, the next step. The simplest one you can take today. Because in the end, that is exactly what separates the people who break the cycle from those who stay stuck in it. The willingness to take the next small step, even with anxiety present. If this video helped you, leave a like. It goes a long way in helping the channel grow and reach more people who need this. If you know someone who struggles with procrastination, share this right now. It might be the most useful thing you do for that person today. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next videos. Take care of your mind.